Hi everyone, Kristen Hudson, Marketing Director for the Columbus Symphony Orchestra here, and welcome to another episode of Tune In with the CSO, where you're going to get to learn more about the musicians in our orchestra as well as to hear some beautiful music.
Well, I'd like to welcome our special guest artist today, Dr. Stephanie Patterson, who is the Columbus Symphony Orchestra's principal bassoonist. So thank you so much for being here with us, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So I wanted to start off, like we said, you're the principal bassoonist of the CSO. How long have you been playing the bassoon and performing for the Columbus Symphony?
Well, I started playing bassoon in high school, and I was trying to think of what year that was. I'm going to give let's just say I started playing in high school, which was in the 1990.
I love it.
And and so I've been playing since then. I've been in the CSO for 4 years. I just finished my 4th season, I think. Yes, my 4th season.
Fantastic. And now I know a lot of people wonder this question when we talk about when we play an interesting, unique instrument, but why the bassoon? How did you get started with the bassoon? Do you have any fun stories of how that sort of came to be?
Yeah, well, like a lot of double readers, I started on another instrument. My mom made me play piano first because I wanted to play flute. She said, you have to do piano first. So I did piano. Then I got to do flute. And there were 100 flutes in my band. So
Yes.
the next year, I picked saxophone because there were fewer. And I knew we had one in a closet somewhere because my dad had played it. So not having any idea what kind of status the saxophone was in, it could have had no pads.
Yeah, you just pull it out of the closet.
Yeah. So I played that for a while. And then in high school, my band director pulled me aside and he said, I want you to try bassoon. And if you don't like it, you can go back to saxophone. It's okay. He probably said that 5 times. He probably said, if you don't like bassoon, you can go back to saxophone because, he was asking me to try it. And so I took it home and I tried it out and I just loved it. And I was like, okay, I like it. You don't have to, I'm not going back to saxophone.
Right. That's it. It's like it just fits and then you're done.
Yeah. Something about the sound of it. I was just like, nope, I'm sold.
Yep. That's awesome. Now, do you have a favorite concert that you've done so far since you've been here in Columbus with the CSO, or are there any particular memories?
Yeah. I mean, they're all so much fun. Each concert's like a little mini adventure. We get there Thursday night and we're like, oh, I don't know what's going to happen. And then by Saturday, I feel like I've, been with these people for a week-long vacation or something. We've been, living through a shared experience in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I know you just mentioned Thursday through Saturday. So what's the rehearsal schedule like for a CSO concert? Because a lot of people think you're rehearsing for months and months on end.
Right. No, we have 2 days from the first rehearsal to showtime, as you know. We show up Thursday night, and sometimes not everyone's there. George likes to give people the night off if they are playing a small part, like if they're harp or percussion. And so sometimes we're like, is this what it sounds like? Luckily, most of us, we know the pieces, in advance. So we come in and we know how it's supposed to go. And it's really just learning to play with each other and doing what George wants us to do. But we do Thursday night, Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday afternoon, of course, is the open dress. And then Saturday night, showtime.
And then concert time. And it happens so quickly.
It really does.
So quickly.
Yeah. I was to answer your other question, I do have one favorite memory, and that was probably the Verdi Requiem.
Ooh.
From last season, or from 2 seasons ago.
2. Yeah. 2.
Yeah. I should know that. So the reason it's memorable is because I was 8.5 months pregnant at the time.
Yes.
And there's a huge bassoon solo. It's probably the entire aria is, nobody notices it because they're listening to the singers, but I just remember, sitting there and just being like, I think I can do this. I'm going to make it, and everyone else in my section is just like, ah.
I know, fingers crossed, toes crossed.
Yeah. And every time the bass drum would come in, I swear I would feel her jump and
It's ready to go. You're just stay in there a little while longer.
And I think she was born 2 weeks later. So.
Wow. Oh my gosh. That's amazing. Now for a concert when you're preparing, what does what does your practice routine look like? Like, what does the lead up to a concert look like? And how does that compare to like now when there's not any concerts going on?
Yeah, I know. Right now I would be practicing Beethoven 7, I guess. Is that what I would be working on? Well, I guess it really depends if it's a piece I've played before or not. So if it's something I'm familiar with, I might be like, okay, I know there's this really hard passage on page 4.
Right.
You know, that like for the Firebird, I would definitely go to some of the fast stuff and to the solo. And same with, you know, like Carmina Burana and Beethoven 7, there's the spots, you know, but sometimes we get pieces that I've never played before. And then I definitely have to go back to like find the score, you know, maybe get it from the library and listen to some recordings and like really get my tempos in mind, you know, a couple weeks before. And then I'll start like working on it in addition to my normal warm up and other music that I'm learning.
Awesome. Now, how many, I mean, and I don't know that you necessarily know this, but approximately would you say, especially if you're working on like a standard orchestra concert, like how many hours of preparation go in, or how many hours are you practicing a day?
Well, I would love to get to practice, you know, 2 or 3 hours a day.
Yeah.
Realistically, let's say it's somewhere between like 30 minutes and an hour and a half, just because of my schedule and all of the teaching and the other stuff and the kids. So that is a hard question though, to figure out how many hours like actual work on that music.
Right. Like actually goes into that. It's so
Yeah.
hard to try to put together what that looks like.
And then
probably
there's reed making.
Yes.
How many hours making the reed. Yeah.
Now, I know you mentioned teaching. Tell us a little bit about you. You are a professor for Columbus State University.
Yes. Yeah, I teach, I'm an assistant professor at the Schwab School of Music at Columbus State. And I teach the bassoon students and chamber music, and I also teach some theory classes.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And now how many students do you have in your studio?
Right now we have 7, but one of them's graduating. I think next year we'll have 8 or 9.
And I know that it's difficult for many of them right now because of all the quarantine and not really getting to graduate. And
yeah,
so that's a whole experience that you guys are going through. And with the distance lessons, how are you guys, you know, doing that right now?
Well, so the audio quality, I'm sure many people know the audio quality with live is not great. So I've been doing a lot of having them record themselves. And then I get them to listen back to what they've recorded. So they have to become their own teachers in a way, because like, as you know, when you graduate, you don't have a teacher anymore. You kind of have to become your own teacher. So
right,
by having them record and then listen, they're going through that process already. In fact, that's kind of what I did the year between my master's and my doctorate. I worked a lot, and my husband was in school, and I was not, you know, I wasn't in a lot of ensembles. I wasn't around people necessarily that were playing. So I started recording myself as if it were a lesson and listening back, and was able to kind of keep myself going.
That's amazing. A lot of like self-diagnosis almost with your playing and what you're listening to. Which
is actually better in some ways, because like, you know, someone can tell you that you're doing something, but until you hear it yourself, you really believe them fully, you know?
Yeah. Well, and in an ensemble experience or performance experience, you know, no one's giving you that constant feedback while you're playing. So it's that ability to really be able to self-analyze. It's so important. So it's, we'll say it's a blessing in disguise that they're getting to do even more of that right now.
Yeah. I know a lot of them are missing their ensembles and their colleagues though.
Mm-hmm, most definitely. Now, do you have anyone musical in your family? Did you grow up around a lot of musical people, or did that sort of come about in your own way?
Well, both my parents played in band in high school, but then they went into the sciences. So they like to joke, because my sister went into theater and I went into music. So they said that we kind of did the, like, you know, you do the opposite of what you're doing. Yeah. But my mom was a teacher, so I sort of followed that education path. I do think I inherited a lot of my music from my grandpa. He was a tuba player.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and he used to play a lot by ear. Like he would play in the parades for things, and then they would have the singer come out to do like the national anthem, and he would just play along with her, like not mic'd or anything, but like in his you know, track that they were in for their quintet. And he would, you know, listen and like play the right chords.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So definitely some musical genes somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Passing it down. Now, who are your musical influences? Whether that be like classically or non-classical.
Um, Influences. I mean, I love listening to recordings of the most famous, bassoonists and other musicians too. But I really like the musicians that like you get to meet, so like even just the people I studied with, people like Ben Coelho and Nicolasa Custer has been a mentor of mine for the longest time. And I just, what I really get from her is the inspiration to like, to do what you do and to just love what you do, because the first day I met her, she was like, this is my life. She was teaching, she was playing, she was doing chamber music, she was doing everything. And she was like, I love my life and it's great. And I just looked at that and I thought, I want to love my life. Like, so I should just do that, So,
Right. That's amazing.
so that's what's most inspirational is just the people that are doing what they love,
Absolutely.
no matter what it is.
That's awesome. And a lot of that I think is it transcends in the music as well. Like you hear that joy, you hear that passion, the love for the music when you're playing it, when you feel that way.
Yeah. And I get a lot of inspiration from my students too. So I have to
Yeah.
mention that, they keep me going.
Well, it's fun to see their journey too.
Oh yeah.
That's a whole nother special experience. Now, what do you find yourself listening to like on a daily basis? Are you listening to a lot of bassoon, or do genres come in there?
Honestly, we end up listening to a lot of kids music for my I don't have like the most time to listen right now.
Yeah.
I mean, I love listening to classical music and I love listening to like old pop from, when I was in high school.
Absolutely.
And from before then, I let my husband do a lot of the driving. So we end up listening to like all kinds of world music and just stuff I've never heard before, which is fun. That's fun too. But, and then, your fair share of Frozen 2 soundtrack.
Yes. Always with the Frozen. Always with the Frozen. Now, so you have, you can tell our patrons, you've got 2 beautiful children.
Yes, I have 2 children. I have, Daphne is almost 2. She's the one that survived the Verdi Requiem. And Maisie is 4.5. And she's the one, she actually got to conduct the Columbus Symphony once. She loved it, every minute of it.
She did. I'll have to show, I think I did this with Karen last week too, but show a little snapshot in there of her on the podium. It's too fun. Now, so during quarantine, I know it's got to be very fun to all be sort of at home and trying to coexist in this new schedule of things. So I mean, what has been your experience, and how are you guys sort of navigating this sort of new?
Well, for the first week, it was pretty much just survival.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep the children alive. Let's make sure everyone's fed. Let's not destroy your house, And so after that, we kind of got into a routine of like, not all screen time all the time, but like we still need to have some peace and quiet sometimes. And it's hard not being able to go places, like kids need to go to the park and to the library and they miss their friends. So we are just trying to create a working schedule.
Yes. trying to keep everybody going and staying as happy as possible while doing it.
Yeah. Although I recently realized that I can't be pretending to be with them but also checking work emails on my phone. I just have to be with them in the moment, having fun, and then later I can check all my emails after they go to bed or whatever. Trying to do both is just too insane, and
absolutely
nobody benefits.
Yep. And switching that mindset over too, like while you're together, it's hard to like let that go when you're trying to be in the moment.
Yeah.
Well, so I have one more question for you. If you like had to be doing anything else right now, or in your career, I should say, that wasn't music, if there was one other thing that you were going to do, what would that be? Do you have something that That was like another passion of yours?
I do. Yeah, I grew up going backpacking in California and like spending the summers outside and the winters up in the mountains. And so I just really love being outside in nature. I spent the summer as a raft guide actually in college.
Really?
Yeah, so I wouldn't be a raft guide. Like, we do live, on the Chattahoochee River, but I would probably be some sort of some career in the woods, so like maybe
Yeah.
work for the national parks or work for some sort of I don't know, organization that does outdoor things.
Yeah, just being outside in nature and in those beautiful settings. Is there like a particular landscape that you like best? Is that a dirty question?
I mean,
you have a favorite landscape? Like, do you prefer mountains or the beach or?
I've gotten to coming down here from well, I lived in the Midwest for a long time, so there's neither there.
Right.
I learned to appreciate the long skyline.
Yeah. Nice flat earth.
Yeah. There are some pretty rolling hills with wildflowers,
Yeah.
And I love the forest here in Georgia. Like there's something really, really beautiful about the pine plus, other trees and
absolutely
the hills. I think I could take any. The beach is fun too. The ocean is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the mountains.
As long as it's outside.
Yeah. Away from like cars.
Yes. True nature.
I don't want to see houses.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, amazing. Well, and we're going to have you play something here for us. Do you want to sort of introduce it and let us know what you're going to be playing?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull my husband in, and we're gonna play a small selection from Gene Kaczynski's piece called "Get It" for bassoon and hand percussion.
Thank you, Stephanie, so much for that amazing performance. And thank you for being our special guest artist today on our episode. Thank you for all of you at home who are tuning in. And we hope you're staying safe and healthy. And we will see you next time on Tune In with the CSO.